The restraints around my wrists snapped open, and the first thing I heard was laughter that did not belong to anything human. I was on my feet before I understood where I stood. A cold floor, a gray light with no clear source. 6 tall shapes circling me, their skin like polished stone, their eyes stacked in pairs down the sides of their long skulls. They smelled like static electricity and old rain. One of them leaned close enough that I could see my own reflection in each of its 6 eyes at once. "Run," it said, through a small device clipped near its throat. The word came out flat, almost bored. That is what the small, soft ones always do. Run, and we will follow, and it will be over quickly. I did not run. I stood there, breathing slow, counting the exits without moving my head. There were 3. One behind the tallest of them, one behind me, and one far to my left, half hidden behind a wall of curved metal. "You captured the wrong species," I said. The tall one tilted its head, amused. "Every soft thing says something clever before it runs. It changes nothing." "I'm not going to run," I said. "I'm going to walk, and you're going to wish I had run instead." It laughed again, and this time 3 others joined it. A chorus of dry clicking sounds that filled the room like static on an old radio. Then a door hissed open behind me, and cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of dry grass and stone. "Then walk," the tall one said. "Walk into the open ground. My hunters will still find you before the second sunset. They always do." I stepped through the door without looking back. Outside was a wide plain under 2 suns, one high and white, one low and orange, throwing 2 sets of shadows across the ground. Gray grass, sharp as wire, stretched toward a line of broken hills in the distance. Somewhere out there, 5 more humans had been released before me, according to what I had overheard while they dragged me through the corridor. 5 people scattered across open ground, each one alone, each one hunted. I had one advantage the aliens did not know about. I had spent 6 years training soldiers to survive in terrain exactly like this, back on Earth, long before any ship from beyond our sky had ever found us. I knew how prey behaved, which meant I knew exactly what these hunters expected to see, and exactly what I was not going to give them. The first thing I did was stop walking toward the hills. Every instinct in a frightened body pulls it toward higher ground, toward distance, toward anywhere that feels safer than open flat land. That instinct is exactly why prey dies in open country. High ground is visible from every direction. Distance takes time, and time is what a faster predator uses against you. Instead, I turned toward a shallow gully cutting through the grass, barely deep enough to hide a crouching person, and began moving along it in a slow, careful line, staying low, watching the 2 shadows I cast for any sign of movement crossing them. 10 minutes later, I heard the first hunter. It was not loud. It was a rhythm. 4 light steps and a pause, 4 steps and a pause, the sound of something built for chasing rather than sneaking. I stopped moving entirely and lowered myself flat against the gully wall, letting the gray grass fold over me. The hunter passed less than 20 meters away, moving in a wide searching arc, head swinging side to side, clearly reading the ground for a trail. I watched it through the grass. It was smaller than the one who had spoken to me inside, faster looking, built for speed rather than strength. Its eyes never once dropped low enough to check the gully. That told me everything. These hunters expected prey to run in straight lines across open ground, panicking, exhausting themselves. They were not built to search low terrain patiently, because nothing they had ever hunted before had known to use it. I let it pass, then began following it instead. This was the part that would have terrified me years ago, before I understood that fear and stillness can exist in the same body at the same time. I moved when it moved, stopped when it stopped, staying inside the blind angle behind its trailing shoulder, using the gully's edge to break my outline. For nearly a mile, I was the one doing the hunting, and it never knew. When it finally paused at the edge of a dry riverbed to scan the horizon, I was close enough to see the fine ridges along the back of its neck, close enough to understand it was listening for sound rather than looking for shape, so I gave it neither. I picked up a flat stone and threw it in a long arc toward the far side of the riverbed. The hunter spun toward the sound instantly, dropping into a low, ready stance. And in that single second of distraction, I moved. Not toward it, away from it, further down the gully, putting distance between us, while its attention was locked on empty ground. By the time it realized the sound had been a trick, I was gone. I found Elena an hour later, curled into a crack in a low stone outcrop, her breathing too fast, her eyes wide with the kind of fear that makes people freeze instead of think. She had been a nurse back home, she told me later, someone who had never in her life needed to hide from something that wanted to hunt her for entertainment. "They're everywhere," she whispered. "I saw one. It just watched me. It didn't even chase, it just watched, like it was waiting for me to run." "That's exactly what it wants," I said. "Every one of them is trained to chase things that run, so we're not going to run." She stared at me like I had lost my mind, and for a moment, I understood why. Every part of the human body, when faced with something taller, faster, and clearly built to hunt, screams at you to move, to put distance, to escape. Fighting that instinct takes more effort than most people ever have to spend in their entire lives. "There's a ship out there," I told her, "the one they dropped us from. It's still on the ground, less than 2 hours from here if we move carefully. I saw the shape of it against the horizon before they closed the door on me. You want to go back toward them?" "I want to go where they don't expect us to go," I said. "They think we're animals running for our lives. We're going to walk straight toward the one place they think is already safe for them." We moved together after that, using the same low ground, the same slow, patient pace, avoiding the tall grass where movement would catch the light, and choosing instead the shadowed edges where the two suns crossed each other's angles. Twice more we saw hunters in the distance, moving in wide, searching sweeps, and twice more we simply waited them out, still and quiet, letting their trained eyes pass straight over two shapes that refused to run. We found Daniel near the base of the hills, backed against a rock wall, holding a broken branch like a weapon, facing down a hunter that had cornered him. His face was pale, his hands shaking, but he had not run either, and something about that told me he understood the same lesson I did, even without anyone teaching him. I did not attack the hunter directly. Instead, I threw my voice, calling out from the opposite side of the rocks, sharp and sudden. The hunter's head snapped toward the sound on pure reflex, its whole body turning half a step away from Daniel, and in that half a step, he slipped sideways along the wall and out of its reach, joining Elena and me behind a fold of stone before the creature even finished turning back. 3 of us now, moving together, and the shape of the plan became clear in my mind, the way a plan only becomes clear once you can finally see the whole board, instead of just your own small corner of it. The ship sat in a wide, flat clearing, its hull dull silver under the orange evening light, with 2 hunters posted near its base, standing perfectly still the way something confident in its own strength tends to stand. They were guarding the ship the way you guard something you never expect anyone to threaten, watching the open ground for prey trying to run past, not for prey trying to walk straight toward them with a plan. We waited until the white sun dropped fully below the hills, leaving only the orange light, long shadows stretching every direction across the clearing. Then Elena did exactly what we had agreed on, stepping out into the open on the far side of the clearing, visible, moving slowly, drawing both guards' full attention toward her. They moved toward her the way predators move toward something that finally looks like easy prey, confident, unhurried, certain of the outcome. That confidence was their mistake. Daniel and I came from the opposite side, while their eyes were fixed on Elena, moving fast and low across ground they had stopped watching, the moment they saw a target that fit every pattern they had ever hunted before. We reached the open hatch of the ship together, and Elena broke away from her slow walk the instant we called out, sprinting the final stretch, while the 2 hunters spun back too late to catch her, before the hatch sealed behind the 3 of us. Inside, the ship was quiet, lit by soft blue light along every wall, and for the first time since waking in that cold room, I let myself breathe fully. The tall one who had spoken to me first was waiting in the corridor ahead, along with 2 others, and its stacked eyes widened slightly at the sight of us standing there, alive, unharmed, and clearly not running from anything. "This has never happened," it said, and for the first time its voice did not sound bored at all. "You built your whole world around chasing things that panic," I said. "You never once prepared for something that would simply stop being afraid and start thinking instead." It said nothing, backing a slow step away from us, its confidence gone in a way that seemed to surprise even itself. You called us prey, I said. But prey doesn't walk into your ship and take it back. We're not what you thought we were. We never were. Outside, through a narrow viewport, I could see the two guards standing frozen in the clearing, watching their own ship with lights now glowing along its hull, powering up under hands that had never once stopped being calm. For the first time since any of us had opened our eyes on that cold floor, it was their turn to understand what it felt like to be the ones who had guessed wrong.